In this video, we are going to show you the top 5 best document cameras 2025. Document cameras are versatile tools for capturing and displaying documents, books, or 3D objects in real time. Widely used in classrooms, offices, and presentations, they project clear, detailed images onto screens or monitors. With features like zoom, autofocus, and USB connectivity, document cameras enhance learning, collaboration, and professional presentations effectively. I am trying to list those based on price, quality, and more. Subscribe now, hit that bell, and never miss a product's review. Number 5. Inswan V4K/2448p Ultra. Real-time streaming without delay. While most document cameras are used more as document and object scanners than cameras, this model from Inswan tries something a little different. Instead, this device banks on the camera part. To some extent, that means increasing the image quality, with this affordable model easily capturing and recording UHD 3264x2448p photos and videos. We're not suggesting that this is something new or even necessarily impressive without context, but the content is everything here. Sure, there are countless document cameras that boast the same specs, but these cameras usually cost above, or at the very least, around $150, while this one will cost you $90. Along the same line, the model enables real-time streaming without delay, with full HD content at 30 frames per second and UHD at 15 frames per second, not unlike more expensive cameras. Besides that, this device boasts an automatic focusing with an above-average focusing speed and minimal interference when you start switching between materials. The lens here is not terrible at reducing noise working with low-light conditions, and the sensor's quite good at eliminating distortions. Almost matching the camera is an integrated mic, reducing noise and picking up voices with decent clarity, even from 10+ feet. Sizable recording area. Despite highlighting the tech inside the camera, we're not saying that there's anything wrong with what's outside here. Quite the opposite, we can easily get behind the huge recording area measuring 19x 10.5 inches. Number 4. Joysing V500S. 2 arms and 5 joints. The Joysing V500S primarily covers the basics. We're not saying that this is some basic, no-frills, entry-level device, but we're also not saying the opposite. As far as we're concerned, the most interesting part here is the stand's flexible construction. For starters, you can rotate the head 90 degrees, the bottom 180 degrees, and also tilt the stand 180 degrees. Between its 2 arms and 5 joints, the camera covers every angle without introducing blind spots. With this flexible construction, the model lets you capture not just documents and textbooks, but also different objects, all without requiring ample space on the desk. You can also fold the whole thing and easily fit the camera into an average briefcase or backpack. As always, the base is weighted, so you can rotate, twist, and tilt the arms and the stand as much as you want without worrying that the device might collapse. While we're on always subject, the model employs an embedded LED light as well, something that more and more document cameras are integrating these days, which is great since, even with a modest light, you can snap decent pics and record alright-looking footage in dark environments. On the construction side, we have but one complaint. The USB cable that this model is using is pretty short, keeping you somewhat tied to the USB-enabled device you're drawing power from. Sure, when that device is a power bank or a laptop, this is not an issue, but when you're working with a USB AC adapter, the short cable leaves you tied to the nearby socket, a small issue, but at times, noticeable issue. Number 3. Inswan INS-1. The attractive one. The Inswan INS-1 can easily hang with the most attractive document cameras without looking like the odd one out. Needless to say, while these devices are still cameras, meaning that the tech is still king, they're not the cameras that you use and hide, they're the cameras that sit on a table day and night. So, because you seldom store them elsewhere, we can appreciate a good-looking model, maybe even more than we should. With this one, the good-looking part comes from a slim footprint, the tiny base that also frees out desktop space, and its white housing. But relying upon that second part, the model plays a somewhat dangerous game since the white housing is, as always, easily soiled, meaning that the above-mentioned attractive appearance requires semi-frequent upkeep. While the construction is compact and space-saving, the overall package is anything but. To go with the camera, including its multi-jointed stand and weighted base, the company ships you an anti-glare sheet and multiple microscope adapters. We're not sure that most people will benefit that much from these adapters, but the anti-glare sheet is an excellent addition to everyday users' arsenal, eliminating exposure problems and letting you capture images even when the lighting conditions are extreme. Solving the opposite problem, the integrated LED light will enable decent shooting with insufficient ambient lighting. And mirroring more expensive models, this camera will also let you work with both 2D and 3D objects owing to the multi-jointed stand. Number 2. IOD's Document Camera. Superb automatic correction tech. The Megaan Pro X3 from IOD is an interesting specimen. On the one hand, the model is incompatible with Chrome OS and even Macs, an interesting and somewhat upsetting turn considering that even much more affordable document cameras these days can usually work with multiple platforms besides Windows. On the other hand, the tech that this camera is packing is pretty superb. To name one, the model automatically fills the scanned file's edges, making them look presentable without requiring manual tinkering. To name two, the proprietary software lets you easily crop out fingers from the final scan, so you can hold the document without worrying about the fingers ruining the scan. What's more, you can synthesize scanned images, something that even high-end models are not always offering. The automatic correction feature here is quite thorough, which is also not the sentiment that more than a few models nowadays share. But the automatic image segmentation tech has to take the cake, automatically merging both sides, even when you're scanning ID photos, and erasing excess parts. Having said that, while the background purification feature is not as impressive, everyday users will find this feature even more beneficial than the crown jewel that is automatic image segmentation. Intelligent continuous scanning. Document cameras without an optical character recognition (OCR) module are almost non-existent nowadays, even including the budget segment. But not all OCR modules are cut from the same cloth. Number 1. Aivo V4K Ultra. Premier Presentation Tool. The Aivo V4K USB document camera has been described by the people behind the device as a premier presentation tool. From where we're standing, they're not wrong. To start with, the camera comes equipped with an 8MP sensor, capturing UHD 3264x2448p pictures and letting you scan books, magazines, old photos, documents, even QR codes, as well as OCR text. Using a Sony sensor, this device excels at reducing noise and producing accurate colors, even with practically non-existent ambient light. Even when you're working with darkened classrooms and poorly lit conference rooms, the camera will make sure that the colors are not distorted and the images are not pixelated. To add more, the model enables latency-free live streaming, with 15 frames per second at the aforementioned resolution and 30 frames per second at Full HD 1920x 1080p. Of course, we're not working with anything especially unique so far. But we cannot say the same about the camera's fast focusing speed that can minimize interruptions when switching between varying materials at a high resolution. In other words, you can move between distinct materials, and the camera will follow without interrupting. Furthermore, the model lets you use both manual and automatic focusing, with the second option including single and continuous settings. The single S setting will let you capture static objects, while the continuous C mode will work wonders with moving subjects. Using the exposure toggle, you can easily customize the exposure levels.